Good morning, Ann.
Good morning.
I appreciate you taking time out to talk to me.
Sure, anytime.
Well, I'll tell you what, I am both your friend and enemy in life. I've been following you for so long, and some of the stuff you've said I think is so outlandish, but at times you also make me scratch my head and say, oh my God, you know what? She makes a point. For me, those are the scary times, Ann. But we are talking to Ann Coulter. Her new book, In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome, is out. You may have seen her debacle at the Comedy Central roast.
Yes, except it wasn't a debacle. It was a huge success.
Well, I mean, it got you lots of attention from people who probably never knew you existed before. Right?
Yes, and if you're pushing America's side on immigration, you'll suddenly find yourself blacklisted from most media. Thank God Donald Trump came along to take America's side.
Well, let me ask you about that, because we're already running into a little bit of trouble, and I know your thoughts on most of this stuff, but Trump's kind of backing off the whole wall thing now. And I know I went and covered a Trump rally here in Maryland. You said that basically the liberals all think that the Trump people are crazy. I met nothing but mostly nice people at this Trump rally. But in all fairness, build that wall was the chant, the rallying cry that certainly took center stage, at least from what I observed.
Oh, yes. I've had, and I wish I could use their names, but some sort of famous people who have gone to Trump rallies expecting, and you would know the names, expecting, to come back with a report on, these crazy, the angry Trump supporters. And one of them, big liberal, was just overwhelmed. He said, hey, I went to the first one expecting to get some good material, and they were just really nice people. So I thought, well, this must be an anomaly. So I went to another Trump rally, hoping to get them on tape and get them saying some outrageous things. And once again, they're really nice people.
You seem to divide the liberals and the conservatives into two groups. And from my point of view, just from following you over the years, you don't ever acknowledge a middle ground. Someone like me who has conservative values and liberal values, I'm a Democrat, but I also am a card-carrying, concealed weapons permit holder, Second Amendment defender. A lot of things, a lot of conservative values. I voted for as many Republicans in my life as I have Democrats. Am I an anomaly to you, or do you acknowledge that this exists?
No, I don't really care about categories. I care about issues, and, I'll argue with you on the issues we disagree on and salute you on the ones we agree on.
Well, what do you think about,
Trump ought to be perfect for you, and actually not just you, but a lot of people mostly people who don't like either party. But for Democrats, even if you don't vote for Trump, what's strange, I would say, about the hysteria over Trump is all of the usual things that terrify Democrats and liberals about Republicans. Trump doesn't have any of them. He's not, having religious ecstasies on stage. And by the way, I'm an evangelical Christian, but I'm not looking for a preacher here. I want somebody who's going to save the country.
Well, that was a question I had for you. I was going to ask you that in a second, but go ahead.
He's been, if you're worried about, him imposing a theocracy on America or, banning choice, as they say, abortion, gay marriage, those aren't his big issues. And again, I am a conservative on those issues. But right now, we got bigger fish to fry. We really need a president who's going to bring jobs back, who will defend the working class, the middle class, the American people, get their jobs back, but mostly to deal with immigration. It's the fancy people on the coast. For them, immigration is just win, win, win. They get cheap labor. They get to strut around like they're Martin Luther King. Their kids' schools aren't being overwhelmed. Their emergency rooms aren't being overwhelmed. But the rest of the country is really, and probably they won't end up at, some little community center or a gay nightclub that gets shot up by an immigrant or a second-generation immigrant brought in. For what reason? For what reason? So I don't think there's anything to frighten liberals. Oh, and he's not going to go to war. I'm sorry. The other big issue, this idea that, it's Republicans who are the warmongers. No, we're tired of war. I was a huge supporter of the war in Iraq, but I would blame Obama. Some people would say it was doomed to failure from the beginning. Whoever is right about that, I don't want to do it again. How about protecting America's borders, worrying a little bit about America's borders and less about Ukraine's borders and Syria's borders.
Well, no, I've said that before too, and this is one of those things I don't necessarily disagree with you on. I do disagree with you when you say immigrant. I mean, you mean Muslim and Mexican. I mean, my Irish grandmother poses no threat to you, right? I mean, it's not second generation people coming from Europe.
I describe in my book Adios America. I mean, this recent decades of immigration is very different from earlier immigration. You can basically divide it at pre-1970 immigrants and post-1970 immigrants. Pre-1970 immigrants ended up getting more education, buying more homes, learning English, of course. Post-1970 immigrants, that's a whole different kettle of fish. That was after Teddy Kennedy's 1965 Immigration Act. And it was designed specifically to get the Democrats' voters, get the rich, cheap labor. And they don't care. They don't care. And also, assimilation has become a hate crime now.
Do what?
Now our immigrants, as post-1970 immigrants, not all of them, but they are far more likely to be on welfare than native-born Americans. Well, no, I'm sorry. Welfare, government assistance, that's intended for our own people. Why would any country bring in someone who immediately needs government assistance? It's just madness. We've stopped thinking of immigration as a policy that should serve the American people, the people who already live here, and instead it's, America has somehow volunteered itself to be this charity ward of the world. No, that's not what immigration is supposed to be.
Let me ask you this. I get your point. You've made your point clearly. The wall, the actual wall. Now, I've said all along that he's going to turn this into a figurative wall. There's not actually going to be a wall. I saw a special on television about 5 years ago where they built a section of the best wall that money can buy. And they asked one Mexican to go over it, one to go under it, and one to go through it. And it took the one that went through it 45 seconds. The one that went over it was less than 30 seconds. Walls don't stop people. Why is this not being talked about, that anyone can jump over a wall?
I strongly disagree with you on that. Walls do. It works 100%. The wall Israel built. Lots of countries have walls. They've always worked. The Great Wall of China, around 1,000 years before Christ.
Well, to be honest, the Great Wall of China was actually more to stop horses than people. Just about anybody could get over it. It was more to stop infantry, and once the barbarians got over the wall, the Chinese could trap them and make it easier to fight. So in essence, you're comparing apples to oranges.
The reason the wall that our government officials built doesn't work is for the same reason that there isn't a wall for most of the border, because they aren't serious about it. They want to make a big show of, we want border security. I have a little glossary in Trump We Trust, E pluribus awesome, of what politicians mean when they say drones on the border, they mean wants amnesty. When they say we need border security, means wants amnesty. Frankly, when they say I'm against amnesty, wants amnesty.
You just said a second ago the wall's 100% effective. That's a straight-up contradiction.
They haven't been serious about this. They don't want to stop anyone. Of course walls work, buckets work, wheels work. It's just the craziest argument for people to say, well, show me a 15-foot wall, I'll show you a 16-foot ladder. This is the sort of nonsense we've been getting from politicians forever. No, Trump is going to build a wall.
It goes back to the fact if walls work, why do we need guys in guard towers at prisons? Because you can't get over the wall. They work. So why would you have a guard up in a tower with a rifle? Why not just let the prisoners just be held in by the wall? Why have guards?
Well, we're also going to have Border Patrol. I mean, it's not going to be a wall and then we brush our hands together and walk away. He's also going to add to the Border Patrol, but you start with a wall.
But you just said it's bureaucratic red tape and walls work 100% of the time. You're contradicting yourself again. If you got to watch every foot of it, why not just put people there and skip the wall altogether?
And if only as many people were getting into the country as break out of prison every year, mostly through inside help, not by scaling the wall, by the way, then I think we'll be fine.
We'll wait and see. I don't think the wall's going to happen, but if it does, it does. What about swing voters? You've made your comments on swing voters.
I mean, this is a direct quote from you. You said, quote, swing voters are more appropriately known as the idiot voters because they have no set of philosophical principles. By the age of 14, you're either conservative or liberal if you have an IQ above a toaster. I happen to collect toasters, and beyond calling people idiots, I don't really appreciate you hurling insults at toasters.
That was a quote from many years ago. And I must say, it's more of a point of people who, these aren't really swing voters that Trump got. What Trump got is people who have not voted for either party for 20 years, not people who go back and forth between Democrats and Republicans. So obviously he got a fair number of Democrats voting Republican, but the real hidden vote for Trump were people that, and I can't really blame the pollsters for this. It's hard to poll people who haven't voted for 20 years, but it was people who haven't voted for 20 years. And it's more my thought on, it's not swing voters is a good shorthand term, but it's for people who don't care that much about politics. The ones who say, oh, I vote for the man.
Right.
Not the policies. I mean, politics, or people who act like politics is just, one of many topics. We could talk about football, we could talk about, pet grooming, or we could talk about, no, and especially right now at this moment in history, what kind of country we live in, who our fellow citizens are. There is nothing more important, and I do think it's the duty of citizens to care about what kind of country this is.
And we're out of time. I appreciate you talking to me this morning. I still don't necessarily agree with a lot of what you say and the way you say it, but to your compliment, at least, you stick to your guns, and you're a lot less evil than I thought you'd be. Pick up the book, In Trump We Trust. E-Plurb was awesome. Thanks again, the one and only Ann Coulter.
Good to talk